before you listen to this one, go check out the Explainer episode.
What's going on? Where do we begin, podcast listeners? Denver Grainger-Barras here from the Hawthorn Footy Club. Picked up last year, picked 6 in the national draft. Did another amazing episode with these boys, and it's a good one to listen to. Take it easy and stay healthy, everyone. Cheers.
Thanks for that, Denver, and hello and welcome to a brand new Class of 2020 episode of Where Do We Begin? My name is Harper. My co-host is Lockie. How are you, Lockie?
Mate, I'm absolutely awesome, Harps. What do you reckon? Just get straight into it?
Yep, let's go. And now this Class of 2020 guest, it's a big one. It was drafted at pick 6. It's a Swan Districts product, actually, out in WA. He's 195 centimetres, 78 kilos, born on the 17th of April 2002 and drafted by the Hawthorn Footy Club. But more importantly, he's a great friend of the show. He's been on the show before, in episode 28. I'm delighted to welcome on Denver Grainger-Barras. How are you, mate?
Good, mate. Good, boys. How are you guys going?
Mate, I'm absolutely superb. And last time we spoke, you were stuck over. You were over in WA, and now you're down in our neck of the woods. You've crossed the border. I believe it's the Nullarbor, as they say, and you're in Melbourne. How are you finding it?
Yeah, it's good. The big city life it's busy. Keeps me on my toes, especially in the car. There's lots going on in many different places, but still trying to find my way around the woods. I'm getting used to it, but I'm definitely enjoying it, that's for sure.
Yeah, lovely. And I see on your Instagram you've been playing a lot of golf as well, just like a lot of footy players seem to be doing. Big into that, clearly.
Yeah, trying to pick it up. It's a bit of a common trend around the boys. So I'm trying to catch up. I've had some really good days. The days that I post to my Instagram are normally pretty good. And as you probably noticed, I haven't posted to my Instagram recently because I've just gone down into a slump. So I've actually fallen out of love with the sport. I haven't played it in about a week now, but I've actually got some golf on tomorrow with some of the first year Hawthorn players. So who knows, if I play well, then I might get back into it.
Are you feeling confident about that golf day, mate?
I'm confident that I'll win. Like, the boys are terrible. I took them all to the driving range a couple of weeks ago, and Jesus, like, they made me look like Tiger Woods. Like, genuinely, they made me look like an absolute pro.
Who are they? Who are you up against?
They're absolute. So who went to the driving range with Seamus Mitchell, Jack Saunders, and Will Bravo, who's just training on with us. And then tomorrow we've got the big golf days. Got Carl Hardigan from Adelaide, Tom Phillips from Collingwood, Seamus, Jack Saunders, Connor Downey, and Tyler Brockman. So we're all out playing 9 holes at Eastern Golf Course. So fingers crossed we can break par, but I'm absolutely certain we won't.
I'll be looking forward to checking Instagram tomorrow to see if you've updated, because that'll be all the answer.
That'll be the answer.
Apart from golf, apart from football, what else are you doing, with your spare time? Are you studying off the field, or are you just focusing on football at the moment? No,
just football. So it's pretty the general consensus is that you sort of, in your first year, you mellow it out a bit. You start to understand the way of full-time work and what the job requires from you. So it's not really a recommended thing that you get into studying into your first year, but I think in the second semester I might look into getting into sort of a disability care / individual support working course or degree or something like that, sort of fine-tune the results. But yeah, sort of just chilling at the moment, trying to get used to the intense type of work, but I'm sure it's something I'll be able to grasp soon.
Yeah, that's completely, I guess, understandable. You've already, I guess, had to go through so many changes, like going into the AFL, having to move. So we won't see you down at Glen Waverley Bunnings in the plumbing section anytime soon?
I was at the Glen Waverley Bunnings the other day, just grabbing some fittings for the house over here. Any chance I can, I'm sneaking down to Bunnings and making a day out of it. So if you go to one of the Bunnings around the joint, you'll probably bump into me.
Yeah, and just for the listeners that haven't listened to our earlier episode, Denver's officially in, I think, is it third greatest Bunnings worker of all time? He was a real prodigy out in WA in the Bunnings industry there.
Definitely up there.
Yeah,
definitely. I have to be. I only worked there for about, I think I started in April and ended in maybe September, November, something like that. So was a good little stint. I loved it there, and I'm sure they want me back. I'm sure of it.
Yeah, 100%. They'd take you back any day. But you mentioned that the disability work that you were wanting to get into before you kind of knew that you were going to be an AFL player. Was that something that you wanted to get into like years ago, or was it always AFL?
I've always been. They always tell you got to have a backup plan. You got to have a backup plan. So just tried to get through school, high school as best as possible, as best off to sort of leave myself with as many opportunities as possible after school, after footy or during footy. So that was sort of what I did. The disability sort of care sort of came around the corner probably with last year and maybe the year before. As a kid, my philosophy was if I don't make AFL, then I'll go into become a firefighter. And if I don't become a firefighter, I'll join the army. That was sort of that was my rule. But since I've sort of honed in it a bit more, I think disability care is sort of a field that I would really enjoy working in.
Yeah, it's a pretty awesome insight. I can already tell that, I guess, you love to help people by just talking about the careers that you're interested in. Though I did think golf was your backup plan with the way that you're talking about it before. Now, let's get back to football. So you got drafted pick 6. What was your first day like at the club?
It was a hard one, actually. I still remember flying in on a Friday, and they shipped me off to Tim O'Brien's house, and they said, "This is who you're staying with for a week or so before you go back to Perth." And my first session was the next morning, which was a Saturday morning session. We had to be there at 6:00 at Fawkner Park, which, if for many of you that don't know, 6:00 in Melbourne is 3:00 in Perth. Yeah. So I was asleep at. I couldn't get to sleep too early, so I ended up going to sleep around about midnight / 11:30 Melbourne time, and then had to wake up at what was it 4? No, 5. So 2:00 Perth time. So it was a bit of a battle and a big Saturday morning session. We ended up doing a lot of hill runs and then down to St Kilda Beach to do some swimming of the pier and back in and repeat. So it was a dreadful start, but it was good to sort of see all the boys buying in.
Yeah, fair enough. Now, I've got to say, in about maybe 4 years ago, one of the biggest video trends there was those expectation versus reality videos. And I've got to ask, if you were making one of those, if you were a AFL vlogger as an AFL player, what would you be putting in your expectation versus reality of life at an AFL club?
Yeah, definitely. I've actually sort of been mentioning this to people is my expectation would be to nonchalantly waltz through the door and rock up at 10:00 and train till 1:00 or whatever, and then have a little meeting, get fed, and go home by 2:00.
Doesn't sound too bad.
All good, yeah. Do that maybe 3 times a week. The rest of the week you can just chill,
play golf.
But no, it's coming in. I realise how much it's actually a full-time job. You know, it's 10-hour days. Get in at 7, leave at 5 some days. The amount of mental work. We're on the track for 3 hours, and then we're in the gym for an hour, and then the rest is all meetings, reviews and trying to improve your own game and understand team structure. So it can be very, very taxing on the body and the mind. So that's probably the biggest reality check I was put through.
So you touched on it before. Was it sort of, I guess, the mental stuff and how important the mental side of the game that sort of is what surprised you the most since going to the highest level?
Yeah, definitely. Just the amount of professionalism around it. So, yeah, like I said, probably have 2 to 3 hours, 4 hours sometimes worth of meetings, all with direct reason and, strategy meetings, team meetings, review meetings. So they're all to help you get better. And sitting in a meeting room, sitting down and just listening can be extremely taxing. So I know a lot of the other first-year boys who didn't do too much last year, just played footy. I know a lot of them have been falling asleep on the way home and been napping 2 to 3 times a day. So I'm a bit more accustomed to it, working full-time last year, but it's still, it's super draining, that's for sure.
Yeah. I know whatever job you're going in, whatever new job you're going into, there's always these like surprising things where you realise, oh, geez, I'm not very good at this, or you didn't even realise it was a thing. Is there something in particular that you didn't even think about, but turns out you probably need to improve on, and you're really working on now since you've been in the club?
Yeah, just sort of playing to a system. I think in Colts back home, and maybe a little bit in Waffle as well. You can sort of do your own thing. You see ball, get ball kind of mentality, but playing at this sort of level, at this elite level, if you're out of line in a system, you sort of see the impact that it has on other players, and in turn, I love how emotional players get about it. So, like, if I'm in the wrong position, that offsets on someone like Sam Frost. He'll turn around and he'll be vocal about how much it's upsetting him, because something that I did then directly impacted how much he could impact. Whereas back home, that wasn't the case. You could sort of do your own thing and find your own ball. So, sort of, I guess in a way, learning how to mold into a system, but at the same time bring your strengths to that system, has been one of the harder things that I didn't realise I was going to have to sort of develop.
Yeah, having guys like Sam Frost around, Hawthorn has a great group of senior players and mentors at the club. You have Alastair Clarkson as the coach, you have Sam Mitchell, assistant coach. You have so many great leaders around that are always there to help you. Who has helped mentor you over the last couple of months during pre-season, has really helped you mould your game and improve?
Sicily's one, so him being out with an ACL sort of pushed him to the sidelines, but he's been the opposite of on the sidelines. Literally, he's been in the middle of the training track, yelling at everyone, picking and pulling. Making sure boys are getting the best out of themselves. And he's been really, really good for me. Just playing, I like to play as similar to him as possible. And yeah, he just, with my positioning, with how he coached, with how he developed certain mental skills and physical skills to battle certain things. So I think if anyone has been a mentor, I'd say it'd be Sicily for sure.
Yeah. Fair enough. So with all these kind of mentors you've got, like I'd imagine you guys are like setting goals together and stuff. I know that's a big thing in the AFL now, at most clubs, I'm guessing at Hawthorn as well. So have you got particular goals for this season that you want to have achieved by when we talk next in 6 months' time? Yeah,
definitely. I think my sort of course, anyone's goal is to play round one. But my overarching goal is to finally crack into the best 22 this year. But not only that, it's to hold my spot. So I don't want to be a player that's in and out. I want to be a player that once I'm given the opportunity, they have no option but to pick me. So that'll be my goal. That's something that I'm working towards. And me personally, I just want to be the best player that I can be. And I believe that I can be one of the best players out there. So to really push for that is something that I'm striving for. I know it's going to take a lot of hard work and it's going to take time. So just trying to learn as much as I can on the way and pick the brains of these great people around me, Sean Burgoyne, even Chad Wingard, James Sicily, so many amazing characters and footballers around me to develop that side of the game.
Mate, it's funny. That's actually the perfect segue, because the next thing that I really wanted to ask, because we touched on it in our last chat, was that you wanted to be the best player in your draft and, well, thought you were and definitely could be the best player in the AFL. So I just wanted to know, what are you doing sort of in your first year that's a bit different from the other players that you think will really hold you in good stead, make you stand out and develop into the player that you know you can be?
Yeah, I think, I personally don't know what other players are doing, but I just know that no matter what, no matter the circumstances, the day, the weather, I'm trying to get the most out of absolutely everything, whether it's a Thursday or a Tuesday session where I'm meant to be really, really light, doing low skills or something. I'll be out there giving my absolute all, whether it's a scratch match where they say no back with the flights, I'll be going back with the flight because it's something that I would do. It's the way I sort of play. So I know that I'm going to put in the work to try and challenge myself, because it's the best thing to do is to challenge yourself and to challenge yourself to be the best person, the best player that I can be. So that's something I've always done, and it's always been driven by me, and it's the sort of keeping myself accountable sort of thing. I like saying it because in a way then it's out there and I know that I've got to do it. But yeah, I'm my own biggest motivator, and I'm a strong believer that I can do what I want when I want. I just got to make sure I put in the work to do so.
Mate, and then that just comes back with, I think you mentioned it last time, one of your most underrated traits is your competitiveness, and everything that you've just said there just comes back to that, how competitive every single session, you want to get the best out of it, you want to get the best out of yourself, you're going back with a flight in the scratch matches, and that's just an awesome trait to have.
That's me to a T. I hate, and it's not even just with footy. I just hate losing. Remember, I was playing around the world basketball with the host family, and I'm the shittest basketball player. I'm terrible. Got the worst jump shot you'll ever see. But I think we put up $5 each, and the next minute you wouldn't even know the difference between me and Steph Curry. Like I was draining shots, and I ended up winning, of course. But it just takes it to a new level.
Is there something since you've come into the club that you're kind of surprised that this particular skill, like this skill of yours is so good compared to what you expected? Like, I don't know, maybe you're a good kick, but you didn't realise quite how good a kick you were at AFL level.
I think it's sort of gone the other way in a sense. Like, I remember one of my assets back home was my elite decision making. And elite skills, and it's sort of everyone's like a step up from there now. So it's almost like I've got to improve on that again, which I know I can and I know I will. But every single one of my assets and strengths is now being tested on a new level. So now it's just about adjusting and trying to make sure I can get myself to being at that elite category and being on top. Yeah,
fair enough. Now, we ask a question that we ask in every podcast, whether it's one of these class of 2021s or a regular episode. So, and it's going to be really interesting to track how this goes throughout our interviews, which we're planning on doing every 6 months or so. So, at the moment, I know you're only a young guy. Have you got a life philosophy or any quotations or like catchphrase mantra you live by that guides your decisions?
Yeah, good. My mum drove it from a very young age. But one was don't buy into the bull crap, bull tish. It's always just been something just like stay in your own world, just you do you sort of thing. Another one is have courage and be kind always. It's another mantra that I've always followed. I'm currently in the process. We've worked with Ray McLean, one of the development people at Hawthorn, and currently in the process of developing my own, I guess, a catchphrase or motto, and it'd be something revolved around being the best.
Yeah, fair enough. Was that someone in the background suggesting something, or is that just...
Yeah, no, they're yelling at dinner. They're downstairs.
We'll finish it up soon, but Lockie's got a quick question.
Yeah, that's lucky. So we'll go to our quick question segment, which we're doing for this class of 2020 series. Now, this is the first one. I did mention it off the air, so I just want to know who's missing you more, your girlfriend or your mum?
Oh, started off with a rough one. I don't know. Mum's been calling me, texting me every day saying she misses me, and so does the girlfriend. It's vice versa. Who's been missing me more? I don't know. I'd have to put down as equal. They're equal. I'm sorry, you can't make me fit.
You sound like a politician.
Disappointing, mate. But anyway, next one. You've got 2 hours of spare time on your hands. You don't have any commitments. You can do whatever you want. What are you doing with your 2 hours?
Sitting down. 2 hours in between something is probably sitting down and watching maybe a TV show or doing a whole lot of nothing. But if it's 2 hours just doing absolutely nothing, I don't know, might go hit some driving range balls, might go to the golf club.
All right. And what's your biggest personal strength? So this is a personal characteristic unrelated to football.
My biggest personal strength. Oh, that's another good question.
You can name as many as you want. If you've got lots just all bubbling in your mind, you can name as many as you want.
My biggest personal strength. I think my ability to just understand is a big one, personally. I think my self-awareness is another good one. Like I always understand the way my actions can affect other people and in turn how their actions in response. I think that's one of my better characteristic traits. But yeah, I think just overall awareness is one of my stronger assets. Why people feel a certain way, why people are acting certain ways have always been one of my better aspects.
Which is so important in, I guess, the current state of 2021, coming off the
Exactly
pandemic.
Right.
Yeah. Now go to the flip side of that. Bit of a tricky one. Your biggest personal weakness, something that you might be working on, or just, biggest personal weakness.
Yeah, I think everyone's mental skills can improve. Mine's one. I've had a fair bit of adversity throughout my whole life, but it's the way you bounce back from things like that, and footy related, it's when things that pile up, it can really sort of start to affect you. So I think my development through those hard times could definitely improve. I'll be self-aware at the time, understand why I'm reacting certain ways and all that, but it's in terms of getting myself out of a certain slump or a sticky situation that I could definitely work on.
That's awesome, mate. And just for our final question now, so we got the idea of this question from your Instagram bio and Twitter bio. So for people that don't know, in his Instagram bio, Denver has slip, swap, slap. And on Twitter, he said, had to leave Perth, too much sun for pale skin. And that's something that I can relate to. So my final question is, what is your favourite brand of sunscreen?
Oh, my goodness. I don't even know a brand of sunscreen. SPF 50. That's it. I don't even know if that's a brand. SPF 1 million if they have one. What do they have back home? I don't even know. I think there's SunSmart. That's one.
Banana boat.
Banana boat. Yeah, that's common. That's coming back home.
Yeah, that is.
I've actually had to use sunscreen over here a bit more than I would have liked, but any sort of sunscreen that's in front of me is a blessing. So I don't have a preference.
Yeah, well, I'd say through most of the Melbourne summer, it hasn't really been the hottest or sunniest summer. There's been lots of days below 20 degrees, so might not.
But it's had some serious stinkers, and
it has.
There was a Monday. Oh, the Monday of our 2K trial. It was a 42-degree day, and I was like, "Oh, all right, it's pretty hot." And I remember running it, and it was hot. I remember going to the club for the rest of the day, and then coming out at about 4 or 5, and it was raining. I didn't.
Melbourne,
I was like,
mate. Welcome to Melbourne.
Can you explain what is going on here?
Yeah, that's definitely not something you get over in WA. But I think that just about wraps us up. It's been a pleasure having you on again, Denver. Third time featuring you on the podcast with the Christmas special as well. So it's been great having you on, mate. Thanks very much.
No, thank you guys for having me. It's always a blessing to be on your beautiful podcast. I'll be listening in for the years to come. Thank you.
Thanks for that, Denver. Absolutely stoked that we got the opportunity to talk to you again. It is always a pleasure.
Yeah, exactly. And another great episode of Class of 2020 series coming out tomorrow with the great man Joel Weston from the Freo Dockers. Hope to see you there. Thanks very much for listening.
Thanks, guys, for sticking around. Always appreciate your support.